Oh man, this is such a workout, man. But what is up, party people? Today we're gonna be going into an in-depth look about building up muscle and strength in our embouchure / corners and our core, and we're also gonna be going an in-depth guide into breathing because that's super important for our instruments, especially for the trumpet. We gotta get those trumpet brass gains, and the way to do that is by doing tons and tons of long tones and lip slurs. Those are like essential in order to play our instrument, especially the trumpet. It takes the big guns in order to play the trumpet well. But today we're gonna do lots of exercises so we can start developing a daily routine of long tones and lip slurs to really help develop these muscles. Yeah. Now, while this video was made in mind specifically for trumpets and brass in particular, all wind instruments can find some value in the breathing part, because no matter if we play trumpet, flute, clarinet, oboe, whatever it is, if it's a wind instrument, it requires air, and the way we breathe and how we use our air has a direct impact in our sound. So that's super important. But there are, of course, like thousands and thousands of books upon pages online and just everywhere about just exercises of long tones and lip slurs. But today we're just gonna do a few to just get started and to really develop a good solid routine. And as we continue to grow as players, we can add more and do different things. But this is just a good place to start developing a good routine of long tones, lip slurs, and of course breathing. But yeah. Now, super quick, this video won't touch too much on articulation, but that is something we should all be doing every day in our practices. But today is mostly focused on developing the muscles here and developing the muscles here that are necessary in order to play trumpet and any brass instrument specifically, because long tones, breathing, and lip slurs are just so essential in order for us to play our instruments well. But yeah, let's get this started. Now, before we even pick up the instrument, let's go over breathing, because breathing is super important for us wind instruments. There's a reason why they're called wind instruments. They take air to actually play. There's no air, there's no sound. There's no sound, there's no music. So air, super important. And the way we breathe and use our air has a direct impact on how we sound. So go ahead, take your left hand and place it on your belly. Take your right hand and just put it in front of you. Take a few deep breaths in and out. Try to think about what's going on. Try to think to yourself, what's really happening when I'm breathing? So let's just breathe in and out together for a few times. Now, you should be able to feel the air. You should be able to feel your stomach expanding as you take in that air. I'll do it in the side so you can see it better. Notice how my chest and my stomach comes out a bit, but I'm not breathing like, I'm not lifting my shoulders. You don't want to lift your shoulders when you're breathing, because when you breathe like, that creates unnecessary tension here, and the last thing we want is tension. Tension will just result in a not very pleasant sound. So it's super important that we stay relaxed the entire time. Super important. Always stay relaxed. And to stay relaxed, you gotta take a nice deep breath. You gotta have your throat nice and open your mouth nice and wide, and then you just gotta breathe in and out. Now, with your left hand, you can see that as I'm blowing my air out, my stomach kind of pushes in. That's because that I'm pushing my air using my core. And your core are basically your belly muscles. You can think of it like your abs, your rock solid six packs we all have. When we're pushing our air, we have to push and support our air using our core. That's super important. So I'll demonstrate it again. You should be able to feel with your left hand just how tense and tight and how your stomach just tightens up because you're pushing that air. To push that air, you gotta tighten your core. And that's super important because if we don't support our air with our core, then we don't get a very, very nice and open sound. So if I were just to play and take a regular old breath like I was in my English class, this is how it would sound like. You can see that it's not very wide, it's kind of rattly, just not a very nice sound. But if I take a nice, deep, and relaxed breath, and most importantly, I push that air using my core, you can see that that's much more open and wide, and that's what we want. We want a nice, open, full sound. And in order to get a nice, open, full sound, we have to take nice and open, relaxed breaths. That's super important. You don't want any tension here. You don't want to like tighten your throat and go like or anything like that. No, you want to keep your throat relaxed. Like you can just feel and see how tense that gets when I go like no. You gotta stay nice and relaxed. And when you stay nice and relaxed and take a deep breath and push that air using your core, you're gonna get a nice, smooth, and clear sound. That's what you want. So remember that the air is what affects our sound. If we don't take a good breath and we just kind of let the air spill, we won't get a very nice sound. But if we take in a deep breath and push using our core muscles, we're gonna get that nice, clear, full sound. So remember that the air, super duper important. So keep that in mind. And most importantly about the air, our air never stops. I'm gonna say that again, the air never stops. It's always moving, it's always going forward when we're breathing and playing. We don't wanna breathe in like and hold it in because that creates bad air in our lungs, and then that will result in a bad start and just not a very pleasant sound, and it creates unnecessary tension. Remember that when we're breathing and playing, the air is always moving. We don't want to stop the air. It's always moving forward. Yeah. So now we're gonna do an exercise called in for 4, out for 8, but the slight modification. We're gonna breathe in for 4, out for 8, just air 2 times, and then we're gonna do the same thing, but then we're gonna play a concert B flat, and then we're gonna repeat in for 4, out for 16 2 times, just air, and then in for 4, out for 16 playing, and then one more time in for 4, out for 24 just air, and then in for 4, out for 24 playing. And yee. Now remember, the goal here is to push that air using our core and to do the same when we're playing. The whole point of breathing is to make it so that when we're actually playing, we don't have to think about it because our body is accustomed to how we're supposed to breathe and how we have to support that air using our core. And yee. Here we go. In for 4, out for 8, doing that exercise. 2 measures are in. 1, 3, 1, 2, ready, and breathing in. Playing. Playing. Just air. Playing. 2. Now, after doing that breathing / long tone exercise, you should feel a little dizzy. And if you are, that's good because that means you're pushing that air. That's what we want. We really want to make sure that we're pushing that air, we're supporting our air using our core. That's super important. Yeet. Now we're gonna do another long tone exercise. It's pretty simple, but really effective. Basically, we're gonna start on our concert F and play 2 half notes and 2 whole notes, and the whole notes are tied together. Starting on the concert F and going down chromatically. Now you may be wondering, wait, where's the trumpet? And the thing is that if you can play something on the mouthpiece, you can play it on the trumpet, because really, this mouthpiece is what makes the sound. This is more of like an amplifier. This is where it actually comes from. So that's why it's super important to do mouthpiece playing every day. It will really help develop these muscles up here. But because when you play on the mouthpiece, you don't have the support of these valves. It all comes from up here. And it really helps develop these muscles, and it also forces you to push more air because you actually need even more air to buzz in the mouthpiece. So here we go. We're going to do this next exercise, doing it on the mouthpiece first. Here we go. Next long tone exercise. Just a quick reminder, want to make sure we're holding the mouthpiece with just our index and thumb, because we don't want to push the mouthpiece against our face. We want to make sure we have minimal pressure, and also make sure you're holding it with your non-dominant hand. My dominant hand is my right hand, so I'm holding it with my left hand to reduce any kind of pressure. But here we go. Long tone exercise number 2. Starting on concert F, playing 2 half notes, 2 whole notes tied together, going down a B flat. 2 measures we're in. 1, 3, 1, 2, ready. Now, by the end of that exercise, you should really start feeling your muscles burning and working. I'm gonna relate trumpet playing and brass playing in general to like working out in the gym because they're basically one and the same. When you're working out and lifting those weights in the gym, at some point your arms are gonna start getting tired. And when they do start getting tired, that means you're actually building muscle. Because if you're lifting weights and you don't feel anything, you're not gonna gain anything. So it's the same thing for us. When we start feeling something up here in our corners, that's good because that means we're building up muscle and we're building up strength. And it's at that point that we gotta keep pushing forward because that's how we really develop these muscles. If we're doing long tones or lip slurs, which lip slurs are also another great exercise to develop muscles. If we're playing those exercises and we're not really feeling anything here, then we're not really gaining any strength. So if your corners feel kind of warm, that's good because that means you're getting those buff trumpet brass gains, and that's what we want. Yeah. And then really quick, if you feel something weird in your actual lips, like you feel some sort of pain, then that's not a good sign. If you feel your lips are kind of in pain, because that could mean a few things. One of them could mean that you're applying too much pressure and you're cutting off your blood flow between the lips, and we want to avoid applying too much pressure because that damages our muscles, and then that causes all sorts of problems later down the road. So we want to be careful that we don't like damage our actual lip muscles. We want to feel the burn and the pain in the corners, but not our actual lips. So keep that in mind. Yeah. Here we go. We're gonna do the same exercise now, but now on the trumpet. Same thing, concert F going down. Here you go. 2 measures we're in. 1, 3, 1, 2, ready, and now, I don't know about you, but after that, really feeling my corners working. That's good. We want to feel that. Long tones are a really great exercise to build up muscle. And then you'll notice that over the course of several days and weeks of doing long tones, not only will you develop up your strength and muscles up here and here, you'll also develop a nice, good sound. That's super important. That's like the main goal of long tones. When we're doing long tones, keep in mind that we want to keep the note as steady and consistent as possible. And to do that, to get a steady, consistent sound, it starts with the air. We have to push steady and consistent air. That's why air is super important, because if we don't have that good airflow, then we don't have a good sound. So keep that in mind. Yeet. To go into more depth about long tones, typically it would be a good idea to play long tones against a tuner, which you can get on the App Store. I use Sound Corset. It's a free metronome and tuner. It's pretty good. But it's even better to play long tones against a drone, and I'm gonna demonstrate that right now. So that's a B flat, and what you would do is just play a B flat against a drone. Now the whole point of playing against a drone and just holding a note like a concert B flat is to make it so that you're perfectly in tune with the drone. You want to do your best to stay as steady and consistent as possible and match the drone. And you'll notice that when I played that B flat against the drone, you could at some points you could hear the little whoa. If you hear it, those are like waves, and if you hear waves, that means that we aren't in tune. And for playing a tuning note like a concert B flat or F for trumpets, that means we gotta adjust here. If we're sharp, we have to push out, and if we're flat, we have to push in. But if it's not one of those two notes, if it's not a tuning note, then that means we have to do something here, and with our chord, we gotta change something here to play in tune and match with the drone. That's the main point of playing against a drone. You want to match the drone as close as possible in terms of pitch. Yeah. Now playing against a drone is even more important than usual because of the current situation we're in. We can't really hear each other in the same room, so our ears aren't developed like they normally would. We aren't hearing other instruments playing with us, and when that happens we hear all sorts of stuff, and that's how we really develop our ears to know what's in tune, what's not in tune. So that makes it pretty important to, every once in a while get that drone going and play against it. Because playing against that drone will start to develop our ears, and listening is super important. But obviously right now we can't listen too much to each other given the current situation we're in. But playing against a drone will help develop our ears. And then another thing you can do that we all should be doing is listening to other bands. Like for example, some really great trumpet players that we all should listen to are like Wynton Marsalis, Maurice Andre, and all sorts of, there's so many great trumpet players that we should listen to. And when we listen to them, we want to try our best to match their sound whenever we play. And listening to other bands and ensembles and marching bands will also really help develop our ears, and that's super important. And yeah. So going back to that long tone exercise that we did a while ago, that long tone exercise can be started on any note. So maybe instead of on a concert F, you can start on a concert B flat. And so on, or the B flat on the staff. And so on, and obviously play with the mat. Set the mat at 60 beats per minute. That's a really good starting point to do long tones. And and then I encourage you all to try to mix it up every day. So maybe one day you do long tones and you start on a concert F, and then maybe the next day you do it on a concert B flat, and then the next day you do it on the staff, and just change it up every day. And then over the course of several weeks, these muscles will really start building, and your tone really start building. Long tones, essential to develop nice, good sound and develop these muscles up here. And of course, I encourage you to try it on the mouthpiece first. So if I start on a B flat on the staff, flat below the staff. I encourage you to do it on the mouthpiece and then on the instrument. And then, like I said earlier, mouthpiece playing really helps develop these muscles here, and it helps to push that air because you don't have the support of the actual instrument. Yeah. So now we're going to talk a little bit about lip slurs. Now, lip slurs are super important for us brass players because, like long tones, they help develop our muscles up here, help us develop strength. And for us trumpet players especially, this is a very muscular instrument. We only have 3 valves, and we have that higher register, and to even begin with that higher register, we gotta first develop these muscles up here in the middle and lower register. So lip slurs really help with that and develop these muscles. So now we're gonna do some lip slurs. So just like the long tone exercise, we're gonna do this on a mouthpiece first. This is an exercise that's pretty familiar to all, but just really effective. It's Remington 1. I'm gonna start on our concert F, going down chromatically and going back up to that F, all the way down to that B flat. So here we go, playing in whole notes. Remington 1 in whole notes. 2 measures in right in. 1, 3, 1, 2, ready. Now when you're doing those Remington exercises, the whole point is to make it all smooth. You don't want to lock the notes in place. You want to make it all buttery smooth. And when you do that, that will really help develop these muscles. So now let's go ahead and do that on our instruments. Same thing in half notes. 1, 3, 1, 2, ready, and now the great thing about Remington is that you can play it in a lot of different variations. So instead of going down, we can go up. So we're going to try that on the mouthpiece first. I'm going to start on a B flat below the staff and going up to a concert F. Same thing in half notes. 1, 3, 1, 2, ready. Now let's do it on the instrument. Remember, the goal is to make it all nice and smooth. Here we go. Remington, starting on a B flat. 1, 3, 1, 2, ready. like I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of different ways to play Remington. So you could even start on a B flat on the staff and go down. Or you can go up, and then instead of just playing it in half notes, you could maybe play quarter notes or eighth notes. So just to demonstrate that, if you did it in quarter notes, starting a concert F and going down, sounds something like this. Or if you did it in eighth notes, it's a whole lot of different things you can do with Remington. And I encourage you all to mix it up every day, and it will really help develop these muscles up here. And that's the main goal with lip slurs, is developing these muscles and making the slurs all smooth. Yeah. Now I just really want to go back to that gym analogy. It's important for us trumpet and brass players that we do long tones, lip slurs, and breathing every day. That's super important. I'm gonna go back to the gym analogy. Let's say a Monday, go to the gym, you work out for a solid hour and get those muscles going. You're really going at it. Get that solid workout in. But then Tuesday, Wednesday, you didn't go to the gym at all. You did no exercise at all. All of a sudden Thursday, you go back to it and then you get another hour of exercise. During those 2 days of Tuesday, Wednesday, you could have been doing something that would have further helped develop these muscles. Tuesday and Wednesday were basically just lost time because you didn't do it. And you'll also find that when you don't do these daily, you won't nearly gain as much muscle up here, and you won't really develop a nice clear tone when doing long tones as quickly compared to as if you did it every single day. And when I say every single day, it doesn't have to be like 5,000 hours every single day of playing. Even just 10-20 minutes of solid practice doing those long tones, doing those lip slurs every day really help develop these muscles. The most important part is that it has to be every day. It doesn't have to be a long time every day, but it does have to be every day. Even just some couple minutes every day really help you out when developing these muscles and developing a nice good sound up here. Yeah. Now, one more thing to keep in mind that's super important is that we should always rest as much as we play. I say that again, we should always rest as much as we play. So what I mean by that is that, let's say you do one of those long tone exercises, and they're kind of long, they're like about almost like 1 to 2 minutes. So then after doing that long tone exercise, you should set the trumpet down and just take a breather really quick. Go drink some water, just sit down, breathe, take a few deep breaths in, just kind of relax a little bit, just so that you give your muscles some proper rest. I'm gonna go back to the gym analogy. If you're working out for an hour but you never stop, at some point you're just gonna push yourself too much and then you're just gonna damage yourself. We don't want that. We gotta be mindful of where our limit is that day and give ourselves proper rest. Now, one super good way to make sure that you're resting as much as you're playing is to record yourself during your practice sessions. So let's say you do a long tone exercise, and then during that long tone exercise you're recording yourself, and after you're done you can watch that exercise and then you can hear yourself what you're doing, and you can also see what you're doing on the instrument, and then that will help further, it will help you understand more what it is you're actually doing, because sometimes when we're playing we don't realize the things we're doing until we actually watch ourselves. So recording yourselves practicing, really good tip, because it allows you to rest, but it also allows you to watch what it is you're doing and look at what parts could improve, and then you could improve those parts specifically during your practice session. And I really encourage you to record yourselves practicing all sorts of stuff. So it could be like long tone exercises, articulation, lip slurs, or practicing the music, whatever it is we're playing. But it's just a really great way to increase productivity during your own practice sessions, and it also ensures that giving yourselves proper rest so you don't push yourselves too far. Yeah. Now, some super quick things to remember is that that trumpet playing and brass playing and playing any instrument in general, something that takes time and patience. That's really important to understand. I didn't really realize this until like a few months ago, but playing just takes a lot of time and especially a lot of patience, because you're not gonna like go from 0 to 100 overnight. Like, it's a long process of several days and several weeks and months that it takes to develop the skills necessary to play our instruments, and that it's necessary to keep going at it every day. It gets frustrating at times. I know I get really frustrated at times, but it's just a long process, but it's all worth it at the end. The more time you put into it, the more you're gonna get out of it. That can be said about anything in life. If you put more time into drawing, the better it is you're gonna get at drawing. The more you put in and playing your instrument, the better it is you're gonna get at playing your instrument. And also remember that progress is progress. Even if you made one little thing better than the last day before, that's still making one thing better. That's still progress. You're improving, you're growing, and that's good. That's what counts. As long as we're still growing every day, that's what really counts. But yeah. Alright, now let's go over the main big ideas in the video. Remember that when we're playing and when we're breathing, we always want to make sure we stay nice and relaxed. Super important. We never want to feel tense up here or tense in my throat. We don't want to lift our shoulders when we breathe, and we don't want to tighten our throats. We want to stay nice and relaxed. And staying nice and relaxed will help us create a nice, full, pretty sound on our instruments. That's super important. Then when we're exhaling the air out, we gotta support the air. We gotta support our sound with the air using our core muscles. We really gotta push that air using our core. That's super important. You don't want to just go like that with our air. We want to push that air using our core. That's super important. And remember that the air never stops. The air is always moving. When you stop the air, you create tension. We don't want any tension. We want to stay nice and relaxed. Now, when we're doing long tones, the goal is to make sure that we're keeping the note as steady and smooth and in tune as possible. And in order to keep our sound steady and consistent, we have to blow steady and consistent air. So that's why it's super important to push that air when we're doing long tones. And when you're doing long tones, we should always intermix long tones and breathing so that our bodies get used to breathing and playing, so that they feel one and the same. So when we are playing, we don't even have to think about breathing because it just comes naturally. Yeah. Of course, long tones help develop a nice clear sound on our instruments, and they also help develop up these muscles in our corners and right here in our core, as well as lip slurs. Those two are like the big boy, the big weights, the bench weight. I don't know what gym accessories are, as you can obviously tell. I'm not but those are the big boys, the big meaty muscles. That's how we get those trumpet brass gains. So those are super duper important to do every day to really develop these muscles up here and develop up these muscles right here. And yeah. Now, we didn't go over articulation too much, but long tones and lip slurs can be combined together because both of them really help develop these muscles right here, and are just essential for brass playing, especially for trumpets, because like I said earlier, it's a very muscular instrument. So we really have to work at it every day, doing long tones and lip slurs to develop these muscles and to develop our strength. But yeah.